Good morning. Nice to see you. To see you nice. I realize I start with these live videos and I don't say my spiel. Hi and welcome to Knit with Hannah. I'm Hannah. I'm here with Knitting Natter to help you learn to knit the easy way. Ta-da! Doesn't feel the same live. Hi there. We have a few people live already. Hi, Kaz. Started to knit a washcloth for my husband, then do myself shawl blankets. That sounds like a cool series of projects. Cool. Leslie, good morning. Heather, good morning, everyone. I live in Maine. Oh, cool. It is snowing. It's pretty much snowing everywhere in the United States at the moment, isn't it? On my needles is a cowl. Fabulous. It's called That Nice Stitch. It's using a lovely wool and alpaca blend in a sock weight yarn. That sounds nice. I love knitting with wool alpaca. So smooth and nice on the fingers when you're knitting with it. Some wools can be quite itchy, but when it's mixed with alpaca, it's just adorable. Love it. So I just joked about it snowing in America. Some places it's not a joke at the moment, is it? My goodness. You've seen a bit of it on the news over here. It looks quite horrendous. I hope you're all managing all right. You may not even be able to join us live if you are over there. Oh dear. But on the replay, hi there. I hope you're doing okay. Lilac, hi there. Good evening. So you could be in Singapore, in New Zealand. That would be very late evening. But hi there, Lilac. So yes, do tell me. And then there are a few more of you on here live. Great to see you here. Do tell me what's on your needles, or if you've even finished a knit this week. Let's have some wins. What have you finished knitting this week? That would be great to find out. Lilac's in England, but it's evening. Not sure about that. Good morning, Lilac. Knitting yarn, you are knitting with King Cole Cherish. Okay. I've knitted with King Cole a couple of times, but never been that excited by it. Carol says good morning. Good morning, Carol. Or is it Lupin? I'm sorry. If you call yourself Wolf, I'm going to call you Lupin. My favourite wolf of all time. Oh, dear. So I have been kind of on the needles and kind of not. I've been editing most of this week. So that's where my creative energy has gone. And I've just... it's a funny thing when you're editing video because you've got to be creative with it. You've got to have fun with how it comes together, moving pieces of video around and smashing them together here, there, and everywhere, and cutting, etc. So I haven't had that much time for knitting because in the evening I kind of go, ugh, I had enough. And when I've been sat down in the afternoon, I've been looking for supplies this week. So looking for supplies has taken a lot of energy as well, whereas I might usually sit down and knit in an afternoon. Cara says good morning. Good morning, Cara. The Hooting Pirates, that's Cara. Lilac. No, it is morning. I just haven't been to bed yet. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness me. Kaz has just finished knitting dishcloth. Lupin is fine. What is the best knitting yarn to buy? Says Kaz. Well, it really does depend what you're knitting. I have moved away from the cheaper budget brands for various reasons. If you're very lucky, you will find a yarn by a company that sells budget yarns, and it is amazing, and it will really work really, really well. But there are a lot of budget knitting yarns that it's kind of the yarn, the wool that's used to make it up is shorter, so the fleece is shorter, so there will be more bobbles coming off of it when you've knitted it up because there's more threads coming off it. It's a long process sourcing fleece and making yarn. So the shorter fleeces are cheaper. So that's one of the ways they do it. And then, of course, there's all the ethical reasons behind paying that a little bit more. You can see the sustainability promises and the values on the websites, and these companies have been going for much longer, so they have really great uh, what's the word, relationships with their suppliers and the way that they work as well. So it's a very broad span view to have. But from my experience, especially for purchasing for retail as well, and purchasing for designing, which I started doing in 2008, so that's 13 years ago now, I've gone through so many different processes to look at, to investigate, to aspire to being, and looking at different um, companies and brands, that I've come to a point where I say now, if you pay that bit more for yarn, then you're going to get better quality, and they're going to be a lot more open and willing to talk about the relationships and the sustainability promises that they have in the company. So that is why I am now going with, for my knitting kits, for what I sell and what I design, the more expensive brands, not, vastly expensive brands. Very unlikely to be selling you cashmere and silk and charging you an absolute fortune for it. What I'm saying is that you can find good leading brands with fair company policies and good prices. So really think about that when you're choosing yarn as well. It's such a big thing. And I tell you what else made me look at yarn was last year, when we had such a worldwide effort in understanding and starting to come together in being more diverse and inclusive. It was a big thing last year. We all know why. Black Lives Matter became a very important part of our lives in 2020. And I also started to look at brands to see how inclusive they were. Not just we have an inclusivity policy in how we hire or anything like that. It was, hang on a minute, are they being inclusive in so many different ways as well? It's not just, do the models who are um, showing off their knits have different coloured skin? It's, are they different sizes? All sorts of different things like that. So I was looking at that as well. And the very simplest thing, was there a black square or any kind of acknowledgement of what was happening last year on their Instagram feed? It's not that difficult for a CEO to say, I know what's happening, make sure we make note of it, and we show people that we are following this and that we are supporting this, and we really are fighting for this as well as a company. It's not that difficult, but there were companies out there who didn't say a word. So that respect, I've just moved away from them too. So it's a really interesting way to source stuff, but I've always been very ecologically aware. And I thought, why can't I be aware in other ways as well? So it's something that we can do. There's so much information out there. So when I'm sourcing yarn, I always think about that too. So in many ways, I'm hoping that I take that questioning out of your hands, because you can trust that I'm doing those questions, asking those questions, and sourcing the yarn with those reasons when I put stuff in my shop. So I hope in so many ways that this makes it easier for you to know that you're getting yarn from good sources and for good reasons, not only the fact that it's good quality yarn, it will knit up well. So, very long spiel for a very short question. So, let me look more specifically into exactly what it is that you're knitting, and then I can help you with that as well. So, Eilish, I'm knitting a beautiful lacy fingerless mittens using Rowan Alpaca Soft DK. I've got that Rowan Alpaca Soft. It is amazing to knit with. Absolutely astonishing. It's so, so, so soft. Mandela, hi there. Good morning. Your kit is on its way. Sat in the hall waiting for the courier to collect it. I'm thinking of knitting blankets for the lap. So it depends on what kind of blanket you want. do you want the weight? If you want a really nice weight to it, then you could either go for a really chunky wool or the cotton that I've just been making all of these lap blankets, baby blankets with. The rollover. Something just fell off the table there. So this is the rollover baby blanket. That is fine as a lap blanket, and that's got a good weight to it. It's one of the larger ones that I've created for the kits. And this too, the knit along blanket, this is 30 inches square. And of course, you can put that on your lap diagonally as well. I like using blankets diagonally, it just gives it that extra length. So get your Pythagoras theorem out and work out what the diagonal length would be. 30 by 30, 30 by 30 squared. Help. It's quite a long diagonal. So that's cotton. Or you knit with a chunkier wool, so that's weightier as well. So I really like a weighty blanket on my lap. It's something about just getting you actually feel that it's there, and it's a great insulator as well. So yeah, and it's woolen again cotton, or you could go for the big wool by Rowan, and they come in quite a few colours, not a lot of colours, but big wool by Rowan does come in quite a few colours. I mean, the blankets that I've got is actually knitted up with drops Nepal that I'm not using it. This is from my stash I've just knitted with this week. For various reasons, I decided not to. I was going to, but then I decided not to put drops Nepal in my shop. One of the reasons is that I knitted blankets with these for myself, and they constantly are bobbling because it's a really cheap yarn, and I'm positive it's made with shorter fleece. So there you go. The proof from my spiel is actually I've seen it. So it's a really difficult thing. You can put a lot of effort into something, a lot of effort into knitting something. Absolutely love it. I love the look of those blankets. They look amazing, but I have to sit there and cut off or shave off the bubbles constantly, and it's annoying. Lupin says, I've been very into crochet recently. Oh, cool. Yarny crafts, whatever. I'm happy. Knitting will always be my number one, and I can't wait to start a new project. Cool. Leslie, just about to sew up my cowl and matching hat. Yes. See, we see the progress as the weeks go by, aren't we? Yes. Kim says, good morning. Good morning. Neve, morning from Ireland. Good morning, Neve. Just made a coffee. I got a cup of tea here. I'm finishing my sleeves. Of a Norwegian jumper. Oh, that's going to be nice and thick and warm. Lovely. Have you used dropped yarns? Says Afternoon Literature. Yeah, I have used dropped yarns. I was using dropped yarns to knit these blankets years ago, and it was difficult to knit with because the cotton just kept coming apart. It wasn't splitting, the strands weren't holding together. Whereas with the woolen again cotton that I'm knitting with, so many threads make up the yarn. It's completely different. So, you know, when you're knitting with cotton, you can just pierce the yarn occasionally. Very likely, the more you pay for the cotton, the less likely that is to happen. And it's so annoying when that happens. And it's a struggle to keep it twisted. So actually, I've got a video next week, 7 tips on knitting with cotton. So I don't actually mention pay more for it because then it'll be easier to knit with. Maybe I should add an 8th tip, but that would be my 8th tip. So yes, drop yarns, and that was actually, I'm actually going to say it here live on video. and I'm sorry, drop yarns, I was disappointed last year. Like I said, we were going through a rough time in the world. All over the world, we were saying Black Lives Matter, diverse lives matter, no matter where you're from. If you are not white privileged, then you matter. And Drop said nothing. I felt disappointed, really disappointed. I was hoping, as a big company, they've got a massive reach. I have 400 people following me. No, 700 people following me on Instagram. And I thought, no one's going to notice what I do, but people did notice, and it made a difference. So if you have followers, if you feel like any kind of leader wherever you are, even if it's just a kind of a leader, a matriarch in your family, then you say things and people take notice. So I was very disappointed. They got so many people buying from them, so many people using their free patterns. You can make a difference if you say something. And they said absolutely nothing. So that was really disappointing. So from then on, I thought, okay, that's it. Good morning, Linda. Kaz, I like watching Amy Florence on YouTube knitting. Oh, cool. I've never come across Amy Florence. I will write that down. I'll go and have a look. I like getting tips from everybody. Tell you what, if you are a yogi, I found a new yoga channel. She's only got about 300 followers, so go and follow her, Amy Florence Knitting. She is Jen Yoga, Jen Yoga. She's from the UK. She's from Falmouth in Cornwall. She's amazing. I've been looking for a new yoga teacher for ages because Yoga with Adrienne goes a bit fast for me. I mean, even the 30-day yoga challenge, which she says, if you're a beginner, come and join us because this will be a great introduction to yoga. And I'm thinking, 3 days in, you're really expecting beginner yogas to do this? So, it's tough. It's tough. So, Yogi, Jen Yoga. Go and find Jen Yoga. She's really good. Okay. Hi, Hannah. Greetings from a very sunny and warm South Africa. Good morning. Thanks for the update. Hannah, I'll start stalking the postman. Yes. Oh, well done. Mandela's done the maths. So a 30-inch square has about 42.5-inch diagonal. There you go. Yes, if your maths is correct. Well, I haven't sat here and done the maths, so that's fine. Kim, I hope to cast on for some socks. Oh, we got to order some smaller needles. Yes. And Neve. Yes, I said your name correctly. Bunny, as a black lady, it's okay not to mention this all through the live. It's a bit triggering. I'm sure it is. Okay, no problem. Right. So, do you have any questions? I've already answered a few of your questions. What can you want for what can we knit that blanket with? So, sorry, that's my front gate. What questions do you have about the knit along? I'll just go over what we're doing in the knit along. I'm going to find questions that I've had this week as well, because there were a few here that were some really good questions. What would be a good beginner knitting? When knitting yarn all the way loose, says Cass. Loose knitting yarn. I'm not sure exactly what you're saying. Rewrite that question and I'll be with you. Here we go. Where is it? There's a great question here somewhere. Oh, it was about using the right size needles. This is a really interesting point. When you're knitting something and it says use this size needles, just be aware of whether it says size or millimeters, because you may be knitting with size 4 millimeter, size 4 needles, size 4 in the US or size 4 Canada, size for UK, size for Australia, when actually it means 4mm needles. So you'll end up with a completely different size stitch. Size 4 in the US is thinner than 4mm. Size 4 in the UK is very much thicker than 4mm needles. So you're going in the wrong direction either way. So really be aware of what you're doing. What needles are you picking up? Because the pattern will tell you, but you might just misread it, and you're going, "Why isn't this working? Why is this the wrong size?" And all it is that you got the wrong size needles. Needles come in different gauges. The UK had this big long list of sizes, and it was I had no idea literally how they made them or decided what size they were. The US decided, UK and the US decided to do things separately, and the sizes are completely different. And then we come along and go, this is confusing. Let's make some kind of standard where everybody understands what everyone's doing. And we've started using millimeters in the last 20 years or so. And that now has become pretty much a standard because it's what we can understand across the world. So many of us now understand metric. So many of us now go into a shop and we see knitting needles sold under the metric system, so it's a lot easier for us to understand. You can go and get gauge translators. Just go and download one. Stick knitting needle size gauge or knitting needle size translator into Google, and you can bet you'll find a PDF you can download, and it will. I've actually got one sat in my knitting needle box, in my very messy knitting kit. I have it sat here waiting for me whenever I need it, if I can find it. It's here somewhere, and it was actually from the back of a magazine. I photocopied it from the back of a magazine and cut just that little bit of the page out. This is the needle size, and that's the millimeters. So I know I'm picking up the right size needles depending on what it says in the pattern. And when you're looking at vintage patterns, then you really have to be aware. Was the vintage pattern made from in 1960, and was it produced in the US, or was it published in the UK? Was it published in Canada or Australia? Then you have to be really aware of what size needle you're using, because it will make such a big difference. So yes, knitting with just a tiny bit smaller needles or knitting with quite a bit larger needles, you're going to end up with a real array of possible gauges as you're knitting. So there you go. That is one thing I would really suggest that you become aware of, or you just say, I'm always using millimeters and I will always buy patterns that talk about millimeters. And then you just cut out the problem. So that's pretty much where I've gone now. So many patterns these days do talk about millimeters, but like I say, if you're picking up a magazine from 1980, if you're picking up a vintage pattern or a book that your grandmother's left you, then it can be confusing, and that could be the prime reason why what you're knitting won't fit what it says in the pattern. So sat there in your hand, it's completely different size. There you go. So another question was that I got this question in an email and I'm going to repeat it. So the pattern was something like SK yarn over knit 3, yarn over knit 3, yarn over repeat from star, knit 5, knit 2. And then it was purl next row, and then it was SK yarn over purl 3, knit 2, yarn over blah 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 blah. And this was supposed to be a beginner's pattern. So she said, I practiced all of these separate things and I think I should be able to do this because I know the stitches individually. Please can you tell me if this is really a beginner pattern? And I said, no, I'm sorry, it isn't. If you can understand the stitches individually, following them in a massive string in a pattern isn't the same thing because you've got to get them in the right order. And then you've got to knit a couple more rows. And guess what? What you knit next has got to line up with what you knitted first. So those rows are written so that they line up and all of the stitches are there matching each other for a particular reason, because they're doing a particular thing. They're doing they're making a pattern, a lacy pattern. Yarn over suggests it's a lacy pattern over 6 or 8 rows. So that is doing a particular thing. And to be able to do that and understand the knitting, the purling, all of the jargon over a longer period of stitches, a longer number of stitches, means that you are going to get there and go, I have no idea what I'm doing. I can't get this around my head. Why am I doing this? And if you want to learn lace knitting, then by all means go and look at my lace wizardry course. That's for beginners. But learn one thing at a time. Don't expect yourself to, and don't ask other people to expect you as well. Beginner can be difficult because it's like I did the yoga classes and it was, this is for beginners. No, it's not. You're expecting a beginner to move their leg from a downward dog up into a lunge with one breath. No beginner's going to be able to do that. And then you're going to ask them to bring the other leg up, stand in a forward fold, and then gracefully stand up into tree pose. You can't do that if you're a beginner, because beginners, firstly, have got no idea what you're talking about. And beginners might be able to do those individually, but they can't string them together into a long, graceful sequence. It's the same with knitting. Stringing together jargon in long sequences is not a beginner thing. So don't ask yourself to do it. And give yourself a break. If you say, I can't do this, this is so scary, that's fine. You're allowed to not be able to do it. That's it. Just take a break and say, I can do them individually. I can have a go at lace knitting with some more support, like go and have a look at my course. It's a workshop. It's a series of like 4 big workshops. So you go through like 10 videos guiding you through the first knitting pattern. And I knit through the pattern with you. I look at the pattern as I'm knitting. So you'll understand how you read lace knitting patterns at the same time as well. So we'll knit through the things together and it will just feel easier. But don't expect yourself to do this all by yourself, and don't expect yourself to get it right first time either. Just, that's it. Yeah. So it's a tough one. Just because one person says it's a beginner's pattern doesn't mean that everyone's going to say the same thing. So there you go. So that was an email I got this week. Just thought I'd share that with you because so many people are going to think the same thing. That's it. I'm failing. I can't do it. I can't knit. That's not it at all. You can knit. It's just that you're being expected to knit beyond the knitting knowledge that you already have. Yes, you can take it a little bit further. You can push your edge a little bit, but you can't leap over a mountain before you've even learned to walk. So that's it. At the moment, you're understanding what the steps do if you're a beginner, rather than bringing the steps together and starting to sprint and run. So yeah, I feel like ranting about this. Jane, same with beginner Pilates class I did last week. I should think so. Just sit here in plank for the next 5 breaths, please. And then we're going to do it again. And then it'll be 10 breaths. Yeah. Cara, the hooting pirate, says experts have a hard time remembering what it's like to be a beginner, I guess. Yeah, it is. Yeah. And especially if they've never been a beginner because they learnt something as a child. I remember how tough it was to learn stuff as a teenager because nobody else around me knew. So I remember those tough times going, I can't do this. I can't do this. Oh dear. Lilac, I'm thinking of knitting a temperature blanket. Ooh, that's exciting. Can you suggest the best yarn for me to knit it with? You want something with lots of colours? Now, this might be controversial. I'd go for either a cotton with lots of colours or a wool with lots of colours. If you want a wool with lots of colours, then you could go pretty well with felted tweed DK. A cotton with lots of colours might be more difficult. I know there are lots of temperature blankets out there with Stylecraft acrylic. It's not my favourite yarn. I knitted myself a cardigan in Stylecraft acrylic, and I booed my heart out because after 2 years, it was in a real mess. I put so much effort into it, and I'm crying now even thinking about it. It was so much love and energy and purpose that went into knitting that. But it lost its shape. The seams were nice and tight, but the fabric was just flopping everywhere, and it was just covered in bobbles. It was picking up lint from everywhere, and we haven't got pets in the house or anything. It was just, if I knocked against something and it had a little bit of dust on it, it was all just going into it. Couldn't wash it very easily. So I'm bad mouthing lots of different wool companies at the moment. Sorry, but Stylecraft has its place. It's, it's the kind of thing you can knit a baby cardigan with, and that's it. It will last for 6 weeks, but people making blankets and temperature blankets with it, I kind of wonder whether it's worth it, because you won't have it for very long. So the this is the felted tweed cotton. The felted tweed. This is wool, viscose, which is made from wood pulp. Unless it says otherwise, viscose is made from wood pulp. Sometimes they make viscose from bamboo. I need my reading glasses. It's right there, right here, but I'm going to get lost otherwise. Merino wool alpaca as well. Alpaca and wood and viscose. So this comes in an absolute multitude of colours. I've just got the spring summer collection shade range for a 2021 from Rowan, but it's in the other room. But this is the 2020, and it hasn't changed much. That's an option for if you want the cotton. Summer Light DK, and I think there are some more shades this year. That will give you enough of a temperature, and if you want to knit it double, then you can use 2 colours to give a different temperature. Purple Nana, what is a temperature blanket? So you find out what the temperature is the day or the average for the week, and you knit a section of your blanket. So some people will knit the temperature every day or crochet a line every day, and you assign a different colour to different temperatures. So like I said, you could use a single strand of green, for example, to say that it's 8 degrees Celsius. But if you use those 2 colours together, then it's 9. And then you use that one twice for 10, but you use those 2 together for 11. So you could easily make enough temperatures with this range of colours. And you could use the 4-ply instead. And if you want any of these, then I can get them for you. Don't think there are any other summer yarns with enough colours. That might be a good one. That's cotton glacé. So there you go. But yeah, I wouldn't go for anything with cashmere or anything like it. Cotton, you're more likely to have a better wash with it. It will wash better and it won't pick up lint so much. This is a interesting story. When IKEA was first open in this country, I got the amazing rocking chair. Everyone had one of those. But mine was the original. And it's still up in our loft, actually. At some point, we'll have enough space and I'll get it out again. I only use it. I've had it out and then I'll put it back, and then I've had it out and I put it back. And I had a fabulous lamp which broke. I just wish I could have bought 2 of them, so at least I would have one. I'd have it on the desk here. It was amazing. And I had, like, 2 years later, because I loved IKEA so much, I got my neighbour to go and get me a red blanket. It was knitted with single ply yarn. No, it was woven with single ply yarn. And it was really fluffy. Oh, that's gorgeous, isn't it? It's lovely. So for the next 3 years, this is the first year of our marriage as well, there was red fluff everywhere. You know, you get the vacuum cleaner out and the blanket's on the sofa. There's red fluff sitting by the skirting board in the window, like 4 meters away. And guess what? It's in our laundry basket as well. And it's underneath the bed. It's everywhere. So that's something else to note when you're knitting a blanket, because it's something that will sit. It's gorgeous, it's lovely, it's on the sofa, but it's going to get on everyone's clothes if it's really fluffy. And it's a single ply thick yarn. So it will catch on everyone's clothes. It might just fall off the floor and rub off, so it will get on people's shoes or socks as well. And then it will just be walked around the house. And this fluff will just spread itself around the house too. So just be aware when you're knitting something like that you want to knit it with something that's really well plied, so it's got strands that you can see are spun together. So yes, there you go. Yes, Lilac, I would say just pick up, you're knitting that yarn, but you're knitting with thicker yarn, thicker needles. They're just slightly thicker needles. With this, I would say probably use 5mm needles, but pick the yarn from this one, add a different colour if you want to knit that. Or if it's a day when it's the single colour, then knit 2 strands of the same colour. So that is what I would suggest. Temperature blankets, what fun. Okay. Purple Nana, greetings from a wet and grey Herefordshire. I have never joined a live YouTube chat before. Cool. Not a knitting virgin though, 40 plus years. Got a pink hat on the go. Fabulous. Archie has just knitted a Gruffalo. Oh, that's exciting. That's going to be top of the pops in your household, I bet. Jane says, don't make me laugh, Hannah. It hurts after that class. Pilates and yoga can hurt your laughing, can't it? Yes. Kaz, what do you think of vintage cotton yarns I'm using at the minute? Yeah, vintage cotton yarn is usually decent quality. It really does depend. You can look at a yarn and decide whether or not it's good quality. If the strands are holding together well, if a cotton yarn, if you're knitting it and it's you're constantly finding that you're piercing it with your needle and it's getting really annoying, then it may not be such good quality. But yeah. Purple Nana, what's the temperature blanket? I hope you heard me tell you that, but you knit a different colour depending on the temperature of the day or the average of the few days or a week or something. Linda, same here, Hannah. I made a cardigan with Starcraft and it was out of shape after 2 washes. Yeah. It's a shame. It's a shame. Kaz, what's the temperature blanket? Yeah, is that. They can be for a whole year or you can do it for a month. Something like that. So the stripes can be shorter or longer. And you could make shawls or scarves as well with that kind of thing. So like a Doctor Who scarf. Lilac, thank you. That was really helpful. When you say using 2 colours together, yes. Sorry, I've already answered that, haven't I? Neve, what's your thoughts on pressing or blocking, Hannah? Okay. I've actually just sold the you can't see them. Yeah, the blocking mats behind me. So I don't have any in store at the moment, but you could definitely get them. And I'm going to reorder them next time I do an order, which will probably be next week. So I block when it's necessary. Let me show you what I've knitted this week. Like I said, I haven't knitted much this week, but I have knitted this week. Let me just chop it off. This is my mug cozy. I seem to have a fetish for mug cozies at the moment. So you may recognize this from the photographs at the moment. There you go. This is from an M&S, I think, an M&S, what's it called? Service station. Their coffee thing. It's called Wild Bean Cafe. Maybe that's M&S, maybe it's Esso or something, I don't know. But you don't get many metal ones that are as well made as this. So I thought, I'm having a coffee, so I might as well stick it in that. And I actually, even though it's insulated, obviously, it's 2 layers of metal. That really does give it a nice hold, especially if it is that little bit too hot. So I'm making mug cozies for this. Not that we're going out a great deal. I would put a really nice cup of tea in here if we're going on a longer car journey. So that's the pink one that I've made recently. This is the teal one that I made originally. I made this years ago because it's from the pattern of my cable knitting course, Crafty Cables. So we knit this together in this. We knit a smaller version of this in that. So that's the turquoise one. But I knitted this week. So I created a different cable pattern along it. There you go. So it's a long twisting plait. So this, I wouldn't block. It's fine. It doesn't need blocking. It's perfectly happy. So we're talking about blocking. What I would block is something like this, because once you've knitted it, it scrunches up like that, because it's like a rib. You're doing knit stitches and purl stitches, and then it scrunches up as it knits. So you need to block it out like that. I also block little bookmarks. I haven't knitted big jumpers or cardigans or anything like that for quite a while. So when I have knitted them, I sew the pieces together and I start wearing them. And it's fine. Wearing it smooths it out. Unless it's a really complicated pattern like this. And it's obviously scrunching together and looking dreadful, then yes, certainly go and block it. Block the individual pieces so that it's the right size compared to the pattern, and then sew them together. That's the blocking thing. It's blocking once you've knitted it, before you've sewn it together. It's easier to block it then. The good patterns, like professional patterns from Rowan magazine or anything like that, will have the pieces drawn, illustrated, and all of the sizes of the pieces written out along the illustration sides. So it will really help you make sure that it's blocked to the right size. So if there are any discrepancies alongside your knitting, like it's just a bit off gauge or something, you can usually kind of sort that out with your blocking. The other thing is the cotton blankets that I'm knitting now. I have considered blocking them, but there's not any really fancy edges to it. There's nothing, any shapes that aren't sat in the right shapes at the moment. So what I've done in the past and what I'm doing with these is fold them once they're knitted. Fold them really nicely and cleanly, and then they will kind of set into shape really well. It's, yes, you block for some reasons, and I don't block for other reasons. Some knitters will block everything, but I like to remove anything that's going to stop you finishing what you've knitted. It's if you hate sewing seams, then find knits that are done on circular needles, find patterns where you have as few seams as possible, because then it makes life easy for you. And if you want to knit and feel frustrated, then you shouldn't be following me because I'm going to say remove the frustration. So you definitely want to say, that's okay. I will remove as much of the really bad things as possible that's to do with knitting that I really hate, and just get on with it. And use what I've knitted because I love knitting, and that's what I'm knitting for. So there you go. Kim, I had a fluffy jumper once and he got over my trousers and everywhere. Yeah. Such a shame. Afternoon literature. I'm sorry, I can't remember your name. Are you Diane? I got my first undyed skein on order. Ooh, I'm going to try dyeing myself during the Easter holiday. That sounds like fun. I just got a message. I'm going to remove that. Looking forward to a new crafting adventure. Yes, that sounds fun. Anyone else hand dyed? I haven't hand dyed yet. I don't know whether I ever will, actually. I like knitting. Kim, can you recommend a yarn for colour work other than wool? Wool makes me itch. There's no reason why you can't knit with cotton. And there's a new cotton merino coming out, which we're not supposed to talk about, from Rowan. So keep your eye on that. I itch if I knit with too much wool. But knitting with merino is a completely different story. Try it if you haven't tried it yet, because merino yarn is astonishingly smooth. It's recommended for baby knitting, and baby knits need to be there for sensitive. So definitely look at that. Cotton. I've used cotton for colour work. It's not brilliant. It doesn't hold together brilliantly, but as I will show you, it's in the other room. I've started creating baby hat patterns, but I've done the colour work with it. As long as your needle is thinner, then it will hold together. It's stitches, it's knitting. It's not going to really get stuck and fall apart. So yeah, the stitches are going to hold together next to each other, but they will hold together much better and much more evenly if you are using a wool or an acrylic. So yeah, the other option is to use an acrylic. Purple Nana, yes, I heard the explanation of temperature blankets, thanks. To do a mood blanket in a similar vein, definitely. Oh yes, I've certainly come across them. Yes, definitely. I don't know whether I've come across patterns. You're more likely to find. People have said to me, "Have you ever seen a knitting temperature blanket pattern?" Yes. Because they're crochet everywhere. It's easy to just do a crochet row in one colour. That's your 10 minutes work for the day. It's more complicated to knit a strip because you've probably got to do 5 rows. So yeah, most definitely. You choose what colours you want for which moods, and you could sit there and journal about it and figure out how you feel each day. It would be a really good day. Kim loves the cozy mugs. Yes, the mug cozies are cool. I don't know why. I just actually they're really really good ways of practicing patterns and practicing different styles of knitting. So this, in so many ways, does the edge work like this as well. So for this, I'm doing a ribbed edge and then a different kind of garter stitch style in between the ribbed edge and the cable. And then I was practicing the cable as well. I had to do that about 5 times at the beginning of the knit, and I was thinking, what am I doing wrong? And I was getting the wrong point cabled. It's a wider plait than I've knitted before, but it is cool. with the circular needle course we used, we want to start the baby blanket knit along in March. I've never used circular needles before. Circular needles, the circle skills course is about knitting circles. So you're knitting in the round and you don't stop knitting because there's no stop to it. And you're also knitting flat circles as well. So imagine a round coaster. We're knitting in the circle skills course, we're knitting from the outside in and from the inside out as well. So you don't knit circles when you're knitting the baby blankets. When we're knitting on baby blankets, I will show you how you use circular needles for the baby blanket. Don't worry about it. It's all part of the tutorial. You'll have access to that next Monday. And if you're not in the knitting kit, if you're not in the knit along, not next Monday, 1st of March, so Monday week. If you're not in the knit along, you will have access to it on the 2nd of March because that's going out for everybody. So I will show you how you use circular needles and knit from one side to the other side and back again. Don't worry about it. But if you want to knit circles, go and get the circle skills course. It's a great way of just knitting. Neve, thank you. We've cleared up my dilemma. Always nervous about doing it, especially if it's for commission. Yeah. Blocking or not blocking? That is the question. To block or not to block? That is the question. Afternoon literature is Cassie. Hi, Cassie. Sharon, Hannah, do you have a preference to keeping your edges uniform? If so, what's the best advice to get an edge that looks joining uniform? I don't know. If you're sewing a seam, then just carry on with the stocking stitch because it's easy to sew together. So if this is what you mean as well, then that's a garter stitch edge. This looks a bit, I'm not sure I'm that keen on it, but it's a ribbed edge. So I've done 4 stitches of ribbing on the edge. A lot of the time I do ribbed edging. I do garter stitch edging or moss stitch edging. But if I'm sewing 2 pieces together, then stocking stitch edging is the best way to do it. Because you can use, what's it called? Invisible stitch, mattress stitch. Kaz, what knitting yarns are best to use for scarf blankets? You can use whatever you like, depending on how heavy you want it. The thinner the yarn, pretty much you can guarantee it will be lighter. So, Calf Facet uses Rowan Felted Tweed DK for so many knits like that, like poncho knits, like big scarf wrap overs. That's a lovely one for that kind of knit. Kim's gonna give the yarn a go. Cool. Terry, it's hard starting knit. I started knitting again and it's hard. Yeah, go and look at why is beginner knitting so hard. That was from January. Why is knitting so hard for a beginner? I wish I could remember it. I think it's in the knitting help playlist in my channel. And knitting help playlist will just catch quite a lot of your frequently asked questions if you're a beginner knitter again. You will pick up what you've done before and kind of go, oh, I remember that. Before you know it, it will just start to feel like a muscle memory that's just knitting for itself rather than you focusing on it so much. So yeah, one thing at a time, one step at a time, one challenge at a time, and you'll get there. I'm now posting stuff to America as well. So if you want like the classic bookmarks knitting kit, I can post that to you. That's a great way to start for beginners. We've got the beginner knitting scarf kits as well. And it's just small steps, one thing at a time, one challenge at a time, and you'll get there. So it'll feel easier. Kaz is going to look at eBay Rowan yarn. Okay, yeah, they'll have interesting colours there, definitely. eBay isn't as good for yarn as it used to be. It used to be that, God, it's so much cheaper on eBay. But not. I don't find it is. When I've looked recently, in the recent past, its prices are pretty much the same as they are in the shops because it's shops selling on eBay. Terry says, "I'm in America. Do they sell merino wool here?" Yes, they do. You will find it called merino. And oh, the first time I came across merino, it was actually a Stylecraft sublime yarn. No, a Sirdar sublime yarn. And it was an absolute dream to knit with, so I'd never come across it before. So it's something that's new, relatively new in the knitting world in a bigger way. So the manufacturing process, the supplies are there to create it for us on a bigger scale. So definitely, it's there. It will be easy to find. I'd just look up merino if you go to loveyarns.com or if you even go to knitrowan.com because it's there in the States. Which other yarn suppliers are in the States? Loveyarns.com is definitely there in the States. And like I said, I'm likely to have it in the shop soon, so you could always get it from me. There you go. Were there any other questions I got this week? I'm sure there was something else. But yes, if you've got any questions about the knit along, then do ask. We start on the 1st of March, and we're going to have 2 live knit and natters. Private, not on YouTube. And the other big thing about this is that you'll have mistake videos helping you guide you through whenever you make a mistake. And if you make more mistakes, then let me know and I can add that kind of thing to the list as well. I'm pretty sure I've caught everything. There we go. I can't find it. I've had a few emails today, this week. Maybe it was an email. So the other thing is now we are posting abroad. We weren't posting overseas until people asked. I said, "Oh, I can't get it in Canada. Why not?" So Canada, US, Australia, New Zealand, Europe. I will add South Africa as well. If you need it anywhere else, then let me know. But the only problems we've seen with couriers and with post is the weather. So if you have bad weather where you are and post is struggling to get through, then know that it's not our fault. It's just happening everywhere. It's just happening in your area, in your country or your region because of the post. So we will send it and it will get to you when it gets to you if you've got bad weather around you. There isn't a big delay because of coronavirus at the moment. And the only other delay might be because of customs. If we're going overseas, then it could take another couple of days because of customs. But today, tomorrow, Sunday, pretty much the last days you're likely to get it. If you want to join us for the 1st of March. Right, Neve, let me put it's in the description of this video here. shop.knitwithhannah.co.uk and you will find the knit along kits there under baby knitting, and all the new baby knitting blankets are there as well. Ah, dear. Oh, we got another question. Sharon says, how do you get a knitting edge to look like a chain stitch edge? Really neat. Okay. So you can slip one purlwise at every edge. That's one option. The other option is to do an I-cord, which is to slip two purlwise on every edge. So as you start the row, knit 2 purlwise, knit across the row all the way to the end, and then on the next row, knit 2 purlwise, slip 2 purlwise on every edge. So it's definitely something that you can do. Just test it. Knit a little sample, knit a mug cozy, and see how you get on. But it has to be stocking stitch at the edge. So you're knitting on the row that you're slipping at one edge, and you're purling on the row that you're slipping on the other edge. If you understand knitting enough to be asking me about chain stitch, I'm hoping that you know what I'm talking about now. I haven't actually got a video about I-cord edging yet. Certainly something I can add to my list. This is my YouTube notebook, she says, with notes attached to it and notes everywhere on it as well. My YouTube notebook. Ta-da! So I will add that. Because what I'm thinking is April, May time-ish, we should be having some more demo videos, like I-cord edging. Why does everything go wrong when I knit moss stitch? I've had that question so many times in the last 6 months. And it's something that can go wrong. Moss stitch can easily go wrong, and it can be a real battle to try and figure out what's gone wrong. So that's it. Oh, Lupin Carol has just asked me a really interesting question. What was your first ever video on YouTube, just out of interest? I think it was the 4 cast-on videos, because I thought, I know these so well, I can just do them like that. And for the first 10, 11 months, I was too scared to put my face on video. So they were all overhead, and I spiel, and I'm so nervous that I talk for about 2 or 3 minutes at the beginning before I actually start knitting. So we're going to do this now. We're going to do this. We're really going to do this, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do, and I'm about to show you what I'm going to do. But yeah, we haven't done it yet, but I really am going to show you. So let's do it now. Let's do it. And then I start knitting. So those videos actually make me laugh and cringe. But I'm sure it's the first 4 are the the cast-on videos. Then I go through my what is now an overfilled knitting kit. What you can do is go to my channel. It's this easier if you're on the desktop. Go to the channel, and then click on videos, because there's tabs across the top of the channel. And click on the videos, and then you can sort it by most popular or sort it by date. So if you click on oldest, you'll see which are the oldest videos, and then you can have a good laugh as well. One of them is actually really popular. It's how to do the thumb loop cast on, and people still watch it. So that's fine by me. That's fine by me. And then some of the ones where I'm first speaking on video, I'd practiced speaking on video. I'd done quite a lot of Facebook lives, so I was kind of practiced, but getting the lighting right with me speaking in front of the camera, that was tough. And doing my makeup properly and everything, oh goodness me. So quite a few of those are quite hilarious, and deciding what to wear on video too. It's amazing. You kind of think, when you see people on panel shows or chat shows, these people know what they're doing, and you think, why are you wearing a really stripy t-shirt? Because you know that's just going to go completely crazy with the camera. But you don't wear massively bright colours as well. You've got a neon shirt on the television, it flares colour. It's like he's got a big aura or something. So was deciding what to wear and whether prints were working or not, and whether I needed a cardigan on or not. Just so funny. So it was fun. Thank you for watching my new videos, and thank you for watching my older videos as well. I know some of my older videos are most popular because they get found in search. So I really am thankful for some of my older videos because they help people learn to knit, and they draw us all together in this big community and bring you here on a Friday morning. I'm going to carry these on. We're going to learn a lot more about what's happening in the UK on Monday. There's going to be big announcements about when the children are going back to school and how we're going to come out of lockdown and that sort of thing. And then I'll have a better idea of how long we'll be doing these lockdown lives. I know they're really helpful to you all. They're certainly helpful for me. It's kind of like a stamp in my week to say we're coming together as a community and we're knitting. So I'm gonna figure out what we're doing that, then get a better idea of how I want to move forward from Monday. And yeah, we may do something else instead, but we're definitely going to do the knit along. That's in March. So we'll have 2 knit and natters together through that. And if you want to join that, like I said, you need the pattern or the kit. So come and join us for that. And that is the corner to corner. So that's the 4 corners blanket, like I showed you here. You can pick one of the 2 colorways that I've already picked for you. So this is one of them. Or you can go completely rogue and pick the DIY colors if you like. So yeah, so that's the knit along, and we'll be doing other things throughout the year. We're definitely going to repeat the knit along. Obviously not the same pattern, but we'll do more knit alongs as the months go by. I don't know how long these Friday morning things will happen. Right, thank you so much for joining me. I'm just going to pick up a few more of your comments here. Carol says, I think I've seen them. You've grown so much. I know. I look at them and I think, wow, that's 4 years ago. I have. This is actually pretty much 4 years ago that I said I was in a yoga meditation, just done a yoga class, and I just lying down for a meditation. Knit with Hannah came to me. I knew the kind of thing I wanted to do, and I hadn't thought of a name or how it would appear or how it would come about. Knit with Hannah just came to me, and it was, it makes sense. So it's pretty much 4 years ago, and it's like a week ago, one more week, and it will be pretty much when I bought the domain name to start the website. Ah, dear. Amy, I came in late for the live stream today, but I look forward to picking up knitting again soon. I just have to finish a few promised crochet items first. Yeah, cool. That's exciting. You're a yarn addict, that's fine. Linda, this is how I found you a few weeks ago by searching for a thumb method cast on. Oh, that's cool. That is cool. Terry says you're a lovely lady. Thank you, Terry. Purple Nana, as I live and knit alone, I wish I had found you earlier. It is nice to talk knitting. Yes. Mandela, we'll continue to enjoy these lockdown live YouTubes while you're good enough to give up your free time to do them. Thank you. Everything has a season. It certainly does. And it's a very good season for coming together as a big community because winter is the time for knitting. So in so many ways it made sense to do these lives now. Sharon, my need is for a rib 1x1 cast on. Easy one I made up every time if I forget where I was on a cast on. I've never done a ribbed cast on. I've only ever done a cast on and then started ribbing. I've never found the need to do a ribbed cast on. That's interesting. I will investigate. I'll actually put that in my notebook. Do I need to teach 1x1 rib cast on? I'm sure it's out there. I've got a big book of cast ons, and I've got another big book with so much knitting information in it. I'll actually look at my grandmother's book as well. That may well teach ribbed cast on. I fancy doing a Lopo Heiser jumper with you as knit along. Any jumper. Let's see. I don't have this big desire to make jumper patterns. So I probably have to bring someone else on to do the jumper pattern for me. I think probably we're going to do accessories, and probably in the summer. I know what I'm launching in the summer. My mouse is disobeying itself. We're likely to do home items in the summer. So hold on to your hats. Terry's getting a kit. Yes, I will pack that up and it will go. Kim is enjoying Fridays, looking forward to them. Yeah, I look forward to seeing her next week. So that will be Lockdown Live 8. And I will have more news on how long they're going to last and what we're going to do beyond them as well next week. Okay, I will finish here because we've gone on for well over an hour now. And if you've missed any of this, then it's up as a replay. Go back to the beginning and start watching it again now. Or, come back this afternoon while you're knitting, or sometime this weekend while you're knitting as well. So there you go. Joe says, good morning from Michigan in the USA. How do we weave our ends without showing where I've weaved them? Go and find the weaving in ends video. It's right there in the beginner knitting playlist, beginner 101, over on my channel. It's a video. It doesn't get found very often in search. Maybe just people don't look for it, but I've found it the best way to weave in ends. So certainly go and find that, and you'll find it there. I also teach sewing in ends, weaving in ends with the baby blanket. That is all part of the baby blanket tutorial, so you'll be seeing that soon as well. Okay, I've got to go, my dears. Rose is asking whether I have a favourite border for a baby blanket. You want a lace pattern in the middle. I basically do knit garter stitch because it's easy. I do garter stitch because it holds its shape. It really does hold its shape well. You can definitely do lace pattern baby blankets with lace edging if you want to. But in that respect, you may want to pick up stitches along the border and knit a fancy edging afterwards. Okay, thank you everybody for being here. Cup of tea. I will see you next week. And of course, I'll see you Tuesday too. Bye.